I don't want to go through too much of this. Dr. Alexander Maximov used the name Stamenzel in 1909 and proposed that there was a single cell that made both erythrocytes and white cells. Very controversial at the time. This guy looking in a microscope, drawing pictures because they couldn't take pictures of the photographs. So you had to be an artist to do this. It was actually not until the 60s that it was proven. Didn't stop people from doing stem cell research in Russia, which they were doing years and years ago because they thought there was going to be a nuclear war. And the fastest way to replace your bone marrow cells with stem cells in there. And because you die not just because you're not making cells, you die because you can't protect yourself from disease and you get an infection and you can't fight it and you don't. I'm not going to go through a lot of this. And we've already talked about a lot of it, so I'm not going to go through everything. The interesting thing is he mentioned, when you're talking about different tissues to gather cells, because you're going to see this controversy. When I was at the meeting in Florida at the interventional pain guy, with them, because you got people using bone marrow, people using adipose, and there's like this fight against each other, like, oh, you're not using it the way you should. It's not autologous. Well, they're autologous. It's not autologous, but analogous. Analogous use because these mesenchymal stem cells can become any cell. And then there was the idea of minimally manipulating the cells. We don't have any effect on the cells except to liberate them from the connective tissue of collagen. It has no direct effect on the cells themselves. Anyway, but I said when I was there, I said, use whatever you want to use, because the only people that win when we fight amongst ourselves are the people that are trying to keep us from doing this therapy for people anyway. They have an anti-inflammatory effect. The first patient I ever treated had Parkinson's. He had problems with his hands. Couldn't hold a glass very easily. First day that went away, he didn't have that pain ever again. They have regenerative effects, and there are modulatory effects. The big thing about cells, you get a gram of adipose. You're going to get 1 million cells or so. Maybe more depending on who it is. What age and that sort of thing. Whereas you may get 350,000 to maybe 1 million cells. Oh, excuse me, compared to 550,000 bone marrow. I'm not going to go there. So it's been, being used for different areas of problems, mainly things that we don't have any therapies for. And so apparently type 2 diabetes responds very, very well to it with it. And we've already talked about some of the other issues, and I'm going to kind of move on. I'm not going to spend a lot of time. I actually had a film of this guy walking the first time and the second time right after I treated him. It was amazing, but I don't have it to look at. Alzheimer's, I treated my mom. My mom lived with me for 3 years. And now hers wasn't really Alzheimer's. Hers was a type of dementia, but I think it was mostly infarct dementia. It was a different animal. But she responded well to cells because she forgot who I was. And then she remembered who I was again. So I have here spinal cord injury, traumatic brain injury, stroke, multiple sclerosis. These are the things that I am really very much interested in. Let me see. I want to talk about this one, I think, because this was, I already was a believer, okay? I came through the anti-aging medicine route. I'm an interventional pain guy, doing spinal injections, that sort of thing. And I saw these pictures of people getting fat grafting done. It takes 10, 20 years off your face, I'm thinking. And it said in the studies, it's because of the stem cells. They're healing the skin, they really are. They're actually replacing not just skin. They're not just filling, it's not just a filler, but actually heals, even puts more elastic tissue in in the skin. So that's amazing what it does. But I said, well, shoot, why can't we use that in a knee or a back? You know, because my background was trying to deal with pain. This lady that was mentioned, I'm sorry, I go back the wrong way. Okay, she's 75 years old, had multiple spine surgeries, had adhesive rhabdomyolysis, developed a foot drop, couldn't lift her foot, had to use a brace. Seems like everybody I've got's a left side of the foot drop with whatever it is, but we're going to have a couple other people like that as well. But she was the most amazing thing because I didn't know if it do, but we tried it. 3 weeks later, she's sitting off, and she had to use this plastic hard brace to hold his foot, walking with a cane, holding on to her son. I'm not sure the husband did. And what happened is, 3 weeks later, she's sitting there with a little smirk on her face. And I'm like, what's going on? She said, look what I can do. And she couldn't do that. She couldn't move her toes. I did film that. I don't have the film today, sorry. Today wasn't a great day for films, I don't think, anyway. But getting back to it, the other thing, she could move her toes a little bit. She got up, walked, and said, I don't need the brace, I don't need my cane anymore. That was 3 weeks later. I saw her another 3 weeks, and complete restoration of movement of her toes, complete restoration of strength. She's still that way. It was 2015 when we did that. So she was truly, I was like, this is like out of the Bible. It's miraculous. Let me go back, go on a little bit further. Now let's go on. Now I'm going to go on a little bit further. Okay, we talked a little bit about traumatic brain injury. This is a slide that I borrowed from Sean Berman, who is the person who was mentioning with the rat studies, which was amazing. Basically showing that there's both the primary injury and the secondary. Sorry. That there's a secondary problem with chronic inflammation. And so the immune response that we have trying to clean things up actually adds to the problem and continues the injury. And this is not completely uncommon with what happens with stroke. So I think that there's certainly some analogy here. So your brain gets displaced, especially if you have a hemorrhagic stroke, because you get brain swelling anyway. A vascular injury, we've already talked about it, vascular injury can be a rupture, it can be pressure, it can be occlusion. Immune response, as I said, damaging also, and we're not going to spend a lot of time on that. I've got a couple of case studies here. And this is interesting. This is a 51-year-old female who is an LVN, had a right-sided stroke about 2 years ago, well over 2 years ago. And she had left upper extremity and lower extremity hemiparesis. What she did, she was another one with the brace, you know, and using a 4-point cane, this hand like this, and she would have to lift her pelvis and drag her foot to walk. She learned to do that in physical therapy, which, thank God, she was able to walk. The other thing that happened was that she couldn't read anymore. She couldn't understand what she was reading, which was very bad because she loved to read. And she couldn't play card games. She couldn't play board games, nothing. You know, so it was a really sad life, you know, for her, because she was really active in doing that sort of thing previously. So, as I said, the hook shaking in the hand and everything. So we treated her in April of 2018, so right about 2 years out. And I do a C1, C2 intrathecal injection on something. If I don't have an MRI to view the anatomy, I don't do it. I'm not going to go into the details on it. But what I discovered was that you can get a lot more cells into the brain if you can get them down there closer to the brain. And so what happened is we did this at L34. But what I did is I turned her with her head down because the cells are heavier than the spinal fluid. And so they'll make their way down there. And 4 to 6 weeks later, she was reading. And she couldn't do that. I mean, she could not connect and understand what she was doing. Playing board and card games, including games requiring strategy with partners. And those are her own words. It's like my mind woke up. On top of that, she was able to just kind of step forward now. Her left hand is relaxed. It's not in the hook shape. Now, she can't actively extend it. But that's something that happened that is still all right. I think she's continuing to show some signs of improvement. But that was, to me, this is a part of what makes this exciting and what we're doing. This, and her brother is a computer science engineer for Cisco Systems. And he was the one that sent me this information, told me what was going on with it. He was excited about it as well. Now, she's not perfect. She's better than she was. She's another person, I think, that needs another treatment. And I think that's really how we're going to get this done, is by incremental treatment. This was exciting to me for a number of reasons. Number one, this is an 84-year-old female who had a right-sided hemorrhagic stroke from a ruptured arterial venous malformation back in '92, 26 years ago. Okay, and she had clipping of that done, and she had a total of 6 brain surgeries, including the placement of the DV shunt since that time. And she was left with left-sided spastic hemiplegia, meaning that you could tap her reflexes and they'll jump, they'll move, but she can't voluntarily move. And she had really no real significant strength in her upper extremity, but that didn't bother her near as much as the fact that she couldn't walk very well, and that walking was a big deal for her. And so she couldn't move her foot up or down, and that was a big deal, for her. Of course, she's another one that got another person with one of those L-shaped faces, And we've actually filmed her. I just don't have films. Sorry. One day I'll get them together and we'll do that. So we did this in June of 2018. And again, this is a person she didn't have any MRIs or, I could see her napping at me. So I avoided doing the C1, C2 injection, even though I'm still a big believer in it. And I did a couple of placements at L23 and L34. He said, well, why did you do that? Well, because I injected some, but I wasn't getting flow of the spinal fluid back again. So I went to another level because I decided, I don't know, whatever happened, I lost my ability to get the spinal fluid back there. So I'm not going to do it. If I can't get spinal fluid, I'm not going to inject it. Okay. It's going to make sure I'm really where I think I'm going to be. Now, this is interesting because, of course, we always do IV as well, and I think the IV is important. I don't mean to diminish that. I think it's a very important part of it. But she called her office about 4 weeks out and said she could dorsiflex, meaning she could lift her foot. She had 26 years, wasn't able to do that anymore. And now, for the first time, she did that and moved her big toe. Now, it's interesting because when I talked to her about it, she said that people would say, well, why don't you just try to move? Try it. And she goes, my brain won't go into that area. It doesn't even recognize that the foot is there. But she said, let me go back. I went back. Too many gadgets for me. She said that she felt her mind reach out and connect with the foot and toe, which she could not do. 26 years couldn't do. And then bam, that happens. So she's not walking yet. I mean, she can walk, sort of, with a cane and all that. But this is a beginning. And we've already got another scheduled appointment to treat her again in December. But I think these are the sort of things that I think are adding a lot more knowledge and understanding about how to do these kind of treatments and And I think also shows and illustrates something that Dr. Johnson mentioned, and has mentioned several times, by the way, to me personally. And so we need to do more treatments. They need to be more. We need to do them more frequently. How much time do I have left?
4 to 5 minutes.
4 to 5 minutes. The guy that kind of got me to thinking about doing this C1, C2 injection was Dr. Jackie C. Jackie C is a cardiologist and been involved in stem cell treatment stuff for a long time, 30-something years, 20-something years, something like that. Anyway, there was a former quarterback for San Francisco, that his initials is JB. And those of you who want to figure it out, you probably don't know what it is. But he had a stroke at age 66. Couldn't walk very well, couldn't play golf, which is what he really needed, and he could garble talk. And Jackie happened to have a relationship with some Russian investigators, and that all kind of happened after the fall of the Soviet Union. 96, he went over and had some therapy himself. But anyway, he got him involved in this study, and they did 3 different treatments. And he went from not being able to walk very well at all, in fact, having to have something help him, to being able to begin walking. So definitely making a difference. And by the way, the physical therapy and the other things you do with the stem cell treatment is important, by the way. I don't want to diminish the importance of occupational therapy, speech therapy, or any of these things. Because I think that helps you to be able to retrain and be able to make those connections. He then went for the second treatment. He could say one-word sentences. I mean, you could ask him a question, he could say yes, no. Before he couldn't do that. The second treatment is walking. His ability to ambulate got so much better that he didn't have to have a caregiver with him when he went to the third treatment. But he began to be able to say 2 to 3 word phrases and start practicing putting, I think. And after his third treatment, he was able to carry on conversations and went back to playing golf. Now, he wasn't perfect, but he was much better. And so the therapies, he mentioned something earlier, investigation. It's investigation. It's not experimental. That is one thing I want you to understand. None of us would be alive if we don't have stem cells. That's what keeps us alive. Stem cells are where all the other cells are coming from. Okay? You run out of stem cells, you're not going to be living very much longer. So it's not experimental. We know that these cells can do what they do. We don't know how much they can do or how much we need to do to make them do what they're supposed to do. That's where the investigational part comes from. The safety of it. I mean, I'm taking your cells, he's taking your cells, giving them back to you. I mean, you have the risk of a surgical procedure, But as far as the results of the cells, they do what they do. We don't even. That's what to me it's the magic of what God has done for us. He's put the innate ability within those cells to do what they do. It's not something I have to make them do. They just do it. So I guess that's all I really have to say. Let me see. Oh, it actually worked. Oh, I finally got that to work. I feel like, what was the guy in Back to the Future? It works. I finally did something that works.